Hello, everyone. This is Christina Laster. You are watching Managing Day to Day with me and National Parents Union. I hope you're all well. I hope our children are thriving. Hello, America's beautiful children. We love you. And, we're going to have an amazing show as always here on Managing Day to Day. I do have a guest who is Coach Robinson does physical education Thursdays. Hey, Coach.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm living the COVID dream.
Or nightmare in some situations, right? And so, before we start our physical education activity session, we are going to talk about what I have been talking about for quite some time, and that is a calming kit. And so basically, I just want to show you what's in my calming kit. And so let's look at what's in my calming kit. This is my adult Christina Laster calming kit. Don't touch my calming kit. The kids have their own, right? And so here I have a box of essential oils, okay?
Awesome.
So these are essential oils in this box that I access when I want, and there are no one touches them but me because this is my calming kit. And so in this box, there are oils such as bergamot, eucalyptus, ooh, that'll be invigorating, lavender when I want to have a little bit of calm, I have cedar wood in here. I have oregano oil in here. I have all different types of oil, peppermint. So there's 18 in there. And they all, work differently. And so it comes with a little description, tells you what's the use of the oil. I pretty much know how to navigate through essential oils. And so this is an essential for me in my calming kit. What else is in my calming kit? So before, I use oils sometimes just throughout the day, I will use this lotion. And I think that I showed you guys this before. It is Dr. Teal's eucalyptus and spearmint, right? So this eucalyptus and spearmint is really good for mood regulating, right? So when people start to feel anxious, when you start to feel irritated, when you start to feel angry, you can just smell this great eucalyptus and spearmint right on your hands, rub it on your shoulders. Great. What else is in my calming kit? Sometimes I put the oil on, sit in my chair, and light this candle. So I have a candle in my calming kit, okay? And this one is Wildflower Meadow. Takes me to the places where I can think I am, but while I'm in the house.
Imaginary play in PE, imaginary play. Good.
I always say, wherever your mind is, your body has to follow, right? Now, there are other things that are essential that are in my calming kit. I have a small book, okay, Words of Peace, okay, and it has like scriptures that are all about peace. I have another one that says choose hope, right? And so they are just scriptures about hope, and they lift your heart. And I love just, that's my go-to with my essential oils, my candle. And sometimes I just have a little pad, like a little journaling pad where I could just take notes about different things, different thoughts that might come up or whatever. Or sometimes you might just want to sit there, read, and then meditate on what you read and be calm. The last thing that I have to have is absolutely necessary, okay, in my calming kit is a Hershey's. Okay. Don't touch my chocolate, okay? Or you can see I've been eating on that, huh? So we have fun here on managing day to day. I am so glad that it's the mental mental health and well-being, which is a wealth of knowledge. And so Dev decided that during COVID, they were going to come out with some new flavors. Okay.
Really?
Yes. And so this one is bourbon vanilla dark chocolate. And as you can see, it's almost gone. But I have my other go-to, which I always keep a Hershey's with almonds as a backup plan, just in case I can't find the Dev. And so that's what's in my calming kit. And, it's easy for you to do the same thing. I hope that, like I said, you're all mentally well, you're thriving. And today we're about to kick it off with a physical education. Hey, Coach.
Hey, again, thank you so much for having me on. It's really, really exciting to be here every Thursday to share a wealth of knowledge to our parents out there who are probably going bananas being inside and having their kiddos inside for long periods of time. So I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
I always appreciate you, because you have that wealth of knowledge in ways that, we typically don't think about physical planned activities. And so we appreciate you here at National Parents Union. Thank you.
Well, today is session 4 for us. And so if you've been following along our PE log, you should be on day 28. So you should have 28 days already logged in your PE log. If you don't have 28 days, no worries. You can start and stop whenever you want. But we talked about the PE log being great, a wealth of information on how your child will be moving through each physical activity, as well as where did you go wrong, where did the child not meet the needs. And then also when you're planning, you can see what activities you did and then which activities you can go back to and kind of just make sure the kids are mastering the activities. Make sense so far?
Yeah, so, let's just explain the difference between playing and planned physical education for those that were not watching previously.
Okay. So, when people think about physical fitness or physical education, they always think fitness. And yes, fitness is a big part of physical education. However, it's also mastering skills. It's skill-based. It's can you kick a ball? Can you strike a ball? Can you strike an object with either your body part or another object? Playing is just a child going outside, catching their interest and they can just play with dirt, right? But there are state standards for each state. So each state will tell you exactly what skill the child needs to master. For example, there's one standard that says a child must be able to make a healthy eating or healthy fitness plan. Well, that would be totally different than just sending a child outside and playing on their bike. So you want to make sure that you're planning the activities appropriate for your state. And if you've been following along with us, we have all these resources every time that we have our podcast, and we're able to tell you where to go, how to read your state standards, and then follow along. So we can review that in our resources as well, Ms. Lassiter.
Right, and so Coach comes on every Thursday. It's PE with Coach. Planned physical activities, logged physical activities, what we're talking about on the PE log, making sure your children are understanding the expectation, keeping track of their milestones, how they're progressing through that expectation, through that planned physical activity, and making sure that you document the hours and the minutes that they spent working on that planned activity. Those are all vital things to, go back and look at how we have built up to this point, that's okay for you who are now joining us.
Right.
You can always contact me at Christina at npunion.org for any parts that you miss, such as the PE log, and you tell them how they can contact you for parts that they may have missed too.
Okay, my email is jrobinsonpeclass@gmail.com.
Right. Okay, I just wanted to announce that for all the parents that are just joining so that people don't become overwhelmed. You can just come right on in, and we'll be doing this every Thursday.
Right. So today is really cool. We're going to be talking about nutrition because nutrition is really, really vital when we're talking about students in general. But when you're talking about students with special needs, for my son, he has ADHD. And I don't like to give him certain foods that will are his triggers to make him a little bit more anxious, a little bit more squirrely. And now that his school district has set up kind of an enrichment, I want to make sure he's following the same timeline, similar, not exactly what the school does, but just so that he doesn't forget how to school. You know, my biggest concern is my students are not going to be able to school when they go back, you know? So nutrition is a big part of it. If you allow your kids to eat too much sugar in the morning, they're going to go all the way up, and then they're going to hit their prime emotion or prime heighten in their activity and then crash. And you don't want your kids to go, ah, and then all of a sudden they need to take a nap, and then they need that sugar to get back, because then we want to talk about diabetes, you know? So what is nutrition? What do you think nutrition is, Christina?
Today, for me, since I showed my calming kit with the chocolate, I'm gonna balance that out with a Pepsi Zero.
I love it. I love it.
So, you know, no, really, but it is about having the right balance in foods, avoiding a lot of processed foods, a lot of preservatives, dyes, blue and red dye have an adverse effect. I don't care what anybody says. I've watched this year after year, even when I worked in special education, have an effect on behavior and mood. Okay. And so avoiding things like that, making sure that they have well-balanced meals, vegetables, grains, seeds, berries, and a certain amount of protein. As a matter of fact, I use the hand as a guideline, you know, of how much of each should.
That's a good way to measure, because a lot of times parents are overwhelmed at this point that we're inside and we really don't know what to do, and we just kind of give our kids whatever just to suffice to get through the day. I'm guilty. I've gained a little bit of weight, and I had to look at myself and say, you know, Janae, you got to do something. So I had to go back to basics. So when we talk about nutrition, nutrition is the way that our bodies take in food and how we use it. And foods that are good source of nutrition are called nutrients. Now, why is that important? Nutrients are important to our health because it gives us energy, growth, and healing powers. And, you know, you talked about the different types of fruits and vegetables. When we say what is a nutrient, there are 6 types of nutrients. You have your carbohydrates, you have your fats, you have your proteins, you have your vitamins, you have your minerals, and you have your water. Now, the biggest misconception in physical education is work out, and when you're thirsty, go get water. No, you need to be hydrating your body way before you get into your physical activity, the night before, 2 nights before. Every day that I have my students, I tell them to drink plenty of water before going to bed, because if you're thirsty, and when you're in a physical activity, that's the first sign of dehydration is thirst. So you want to make sure that you are eating with a purpose. I'm guilty. I haven't been eating with a purpose, and I really can feel the weight, and also it affects the way that you sleep. So if you're expecting your student to get up in the morning, sit in front of the TV, in front of their digital device and work on these assignments, you want to make sure that you are having the nutrients or the nutrition for them to be able to take on that load for the day, because they have to focus. So you want to make sure you're eating with a purpose, not a lot of sugar, so that they're so wiry that they can't focus on what's in front of them. And then when you have your PE time, PE is not always physical. PE is also this mental muscle here, this muscle here. So being able to work out problem solving is a part of physical education. Another part of physical education that a lot of people don't understand is a big part of how our students are socially growing is a social emotional part of PE takes place in standard 5. So if we're not accessing that for our students right now, I'm concerned that the social aspect of my sons, they're not going to be able to school. But getting back to nutrition, why is nutrition important? Why do you think nutrition is important?
You know, because it fuels, you know, what you put in your body fuels you, okay? And so I want to go ahead and go back and capture something though. When Coach was talking about, you know, kids going up and then crashing based on sugars, based on an imbalance of what they ate early in the morning, that is so true. Even adults have that. And type 2 diabetic students especially, you will see some highs and lows that are based on what's happening with their blood sugar and what's going on with them. My son had that, right? At 10 o'clock, he would become either lethargic and tired by 10, or, you know, just really impulsive, like moving to you know, avoid being tired or lethargic.
Right.
And I noticed that it was a spike or a drop in his insulin levels. Like his blood sugar was just out of whack around 10 a.m. every day. And so I had to keep a diary of what he was eating, how those things were balanced, what was going on around before 10 o'clock, because it took some time for him to get to that point. So what was his meal before then? And what I did was start giving him a snack, a protein-packed snack, especially hours, okay, right, before any planned physical activity. So to make sure that that spike didn't hit him and affect his mood and behavior. So you guys right, need to be paying attention to that. If you're noticing some trends that are happening constantly around or after meal times, then you really need to be watching how you're balancing those meals. Right. One other thing that I'd like to say about the thirst that you brought up was also, that was an indication to me that my son was diabetic, right? So some parents may not know or may have some kind of questions about type 2 diabetes. You should go and research that. But he was constantly thirsty, but then after he ate, he was constantly had to go to the bathroom. Like, why are you peeing so much, right? And so that's how I was able to determine and take him to the doctor and get his A1C checked. And we did, in fact, find out that he suffered from type 2 diabetes.
Right, right. And that's really what good nutrition, having good nutrition could, you know, reduce the risk of some diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, stroke, some cancers, and osteoporosis. Reduce high blood pressure, lower high cholesterol, improve your well-being, improve your ability to fight off illness. You know, with COVID going rapid, you know, having good nutrition could also help you fight off certain illnesses, improve your ability to recover from illness and injury. Because in physical education, our goal is to teach students lifelong wellness. And if we continue to show the students how to make healthy choices, and also make sure we support the parents in showing the students how to make healthy choices, then we can talk about lifelong wellness. Because, you know, people think PE is just a joke. Come out, play a game, roll the ball out, put on a fitness video. It's a lot more than what meets the eye. And when you look at those California state standards, you know, you'd be surprised for your grade level, of your student's grade level, what your child should be mastering at the end of the year, you know? So that's why we gave that suggested physical education daily lesson, which consists of an introductory activity, fitness component, lesson focus, and a game. And if you do that every day for at least 50 minutes, well, at least 30 minutes at the most, because if you talk about this is day 28, we started off with 10 minutes a day. Now you should have increased, increased that time to at least 30 minutes a day. At least 30 minutes a day, you'll get well over those PE minutes in. And we have a lot of resources to help you out. And when you think about nutrition, you know, choosemyplate.gov, oh, that's a really, really cool website. Choosemyplate.gov, it has all these awesome resources on there. www.choosemyplate.gov. Totally awesome websites, kid friendly. It's very graphic. I'm a visual learner, so you know, in my challenges as an adult, I was able to maneuver through and find some really cool activities as well as physical activities on that website. I want to give that little plug right there.
And so, you know, it's very important that we teach our kids the nutrition piece. And I'm going to tell you, it helps them have agency and self-advocacy tools that you wouldn't even understand that they gain. And so my daughter, who has a citrus allergy, immediately will tell you what she can and cannot have, because I embedded these things into her mind at an early age.
Right.
She knows to read labels. She knows to look at what ingredients are in her foods, and to make sure that, you know, she's healthy, right? And avoid that, you know, allergen, that food allergy. She knows what to do, and she's 13. And that came with a process of teaching her these skills. My son counts carbs, fiber, protein. You know he does.
Right.
And he will say, this is 25 carbs. If it's over 25 carbs, he'll say, I can't have this, right? Do you have something else that I can have? Right. That came over a process of teaching him, and he knows how many sugars per item he can have. What is the fiber count and how that affects the carb count and the protein, right? He's looking for things that are higher in protein, higher in fiber, lower in carbs and sugar. And so that came over a process of teaching him, but it could be a life or death situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's an absolute must that we teach our children how to read labels, looking at ingredients, what should be going in their body, what is going to fuel their mind and body the best, and how to be healthy. And so this isn't just something to take very lightly. It's very important. And especially when we look at the disparities in healthcare right now that are very clear.
Oh, absolutely.
We have to be able to not only have this as a tool for ourselves, but to teach our children this level of nutrition advocacy.
Right. You know, I really learned from my students over the past 2 years, you know, as an educator, you know, you're never too smart. You're never too old to learn new things. And, you know, I took some strategies from one of my diabetic students. He'd be like, you can't eat a sugar without a protein, coach. I'm going like, you're in the second grade, you know. So I think that if we all really consider and be intentional when we're teaching these students strategies that they can not only have at home, that they can take to school, and then the school is reiterating some of those strategies that are a part of the standard, that are a part of California state standard for our state is California. And I think we can really, really, you know, help build students that are globally competitive, because their mindset will be different. Their mindset will be focused on goal setting and not what the fad is doing. You know, all these fad diets. You want to teach the kids lifelong wellness, and we don't have to worry about the fad diets and what's good, and, you know, just not really being optimum when we're thinking about, you know, healthy living. You know, we're just going with the trends. And I think that's one of the challenges that I've had as an educator is like, I go like, man, some people are just not as serious as I am when it comes to educating our students when it comes to PE, because that's my field. And a lot of times I think, you know, now that, you know, we're at home and we're, you know, quarantined, students really, really are at a deficit when it comes to physical education, especially the social emotional part, I really, really highly suggest parents out there, you get a buddy, get your kids' classmates, you guys Zoom so that they can have that interaction with their friends and their peers at their age. Kids can't go all day just talking to adults, not stimulate, they're not being stimulated age appropriate, and they're sitting in front of the TV. There's only so much you can do in a day, but if that interaction is not there, there have been so many studies about, babies or baby animals being left alone and not being able to grow properly. So we want to make sure we're having that interaction as well. So these Zoom conferences are awesome to be able to connect with people because we're on quarantine,
Right. And so parents should be willing to allow their child to have peer level discussions that are monitored and supervised, okay? We don't want to leave that part out, okay? I'm not saying, okay, just let them go get in a chat room. No.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, a planned peer leveled interaction via Zoom, via, Facebook Live, whatever that may look like in your home. And so they can thrive in the area of that level of development, right? Social emotional development. What does that look like? And, me as a homeschool mom, our social emotional time was spent in the park, right? Spent visiting friends and family, where my children had peers their age. They were able to communicate with, right? But right now they have the opportunity to do that online, and have those discussions online at their level monitored, okay? And so I really say that you should accept that advice because it is a part of their social emotional well-being too.
And our students are going on these video games in these chat rooms with their friends. When it comes to physical education, if you Zoom your friends, you guys can do workouts. You guys find the same videos on YouTube and do workouts together or play games together. Be creative. We don't have to always have a set, pace of how we do things. It's just get active, be creative, play with your kids, interact with your kids, have a moment where it's not scheduled, and anytime you are being physically active, go ahead and write that down on your PE log for your minutes, and you'll be good to go. I did want to, I had some resources that I wanted to highlight from our last videos, Christina, if you don't mind me highlighting them. So, National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and Disability, MacPad, is a really, really awesome resource from YouTube, and it'll show you how to do the physical activities for any students with challenges when we're talking about students with disabilities. And my students don't have physical impairments, but this YouTube channel will go over different types of games that we mention when we have our meetings like this, and they'll show you. Again, I'm a visual learner, and I learn best by watching. And PE teacher, right? My job is to watch. But when I watch those videos, I'm able to go back to my own classroom, and any of my students that have general education PE, I'm able to do that. So, MacPad is an awesome, awesome resource from our previous videos that I didn't really highlight, that I really wanted to highlight today. And then also you talked about your calming kit. Easy to use calming strategies for autism. One of the viewers from, I think, our second video, she asked, how can I get my son to calm down? And 2 videos ago, your guest, he talked about music. And music is the best calming that, we can use. Remember when we were babies, for most of us, our moms or dads used to pat us, or grandmas would pat and hum and rock and rhythms. All that's PE. So if it worked when we were young, it's still working. So I'll make sure I give these resources so we can put them up and make sure our parents have that access. But just YouTube, I YouTube everything. YouTube it. Easy to use calming strategies for autism. Right
You
in the
know,
search bar.
you can even YouTube how to crochet. And
Yeah,
that's another time.
that's a fine gross motor skill for PE.
Exactly. And this is what I'm saying, because my daughter was looking at the crochet videos with me. I was making beanies, okay?
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
And she really was like, I want to try that. And I realized that that is teaching motor skills.
It is. It is.
While it's also a calming strategy for her, right?
Right.
And, you know, she really was inspired by the creations. They were making little stuffed animals, you name it. And it really wasn't that difficult. I just had to have the needle the right size and the ball of yarn, however much they said. And you would think that, like, this is something that somebody that's an expert would have to do. But no, you can do these things at any level, wherever you're at. Yes, look at those YouTube tutorials and how-to videos and wonderful things that are there. Don't, you know, you got to search through sometimes on some stuff, because, you know, we got some people that just like attention. They need a calming kit. But it's okay, you know, we love you. And so go ahead and we're going to wrap up here and tell the people how they can find you again and what else you wanted to go ahead and your final thoughts.
Okay, my final thoughts are, thank you so much for coming and listening, and, you know, hopefully there'll be some questions. We can come back and answer some of those questions at our next Thursday. Keep on going, you know, love yourself, parents. Love yourself so you can be able to love on those kiddos at home. And if you want to reach me, my email is jrobinsonpeclass@gmail.com. Or if you are on Facebook, my name is Akle, Akale Robinson, and you can find me there. And just, you know, keep the fight. Stay safe, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and just see you next Thursday.
And thank you, Coach. And so I want to say this. As we are working on increasing the learning curve, we really need to be rethinking how systems are approaching nutrition and physical education, okay? I know that there are certain standards that have to be met, but really this is a daily living kind of thing. And so whereas the children may have had a certain amount of time in their physical education classes, parents, we need to be advocating for more. We need to be advocating for it to be a day-by-day thing, and that it is taught by someone that is credentialed and specializes in that area of expertise, that can help our children learn how to advocate for their health, for their physical well-being, and teach them those skills progressively. Because we're not talking about free play, we're talking about planned physical activities that work on certain skill sets and that move progressively, grade by grade, age by age. And we're talking about healthy living. What is a balanced meal going to look like, right? And so this should be something that's approached every day in our kids' thought processes. I use the example of my children being able to read labels, and how they have been able to make good choices based on the labels that they read. That is an absolute necessity for good health. We want to avoid as many doctor visits and hospital visits as possible. We want to be able to thrive and not just barely survive.
Right.
Okay, so again, you can reach me. Thank you, Coach. We'll see you next Thursday. You can reach me, Christina Laster, at Christina at npunion.org, or you can look me at on Facebook again at WISE Society, WISE society and like the page, send me a message. Always willing to support, help, and assist you with any information. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all thriving. We will see you again on Managing Day to Day with me, Christina Lasser, and National Parents Union. Goodbye, America's beautiful children. See you next time.